What's up everybody, Swillow here, and today we're going to review the newly released Fairy Tail DLC. So today we have 2 new characters as well as the very difficult board requests. So let's get right into this. First, let's look at the character abilities. We have Lisanna. Lisanna is more of a support type character with some debuffing capabilities. So let's look at her kit and I'll go over each move. Mermaid Typhoon, this is decreased luck and chance to inflict freeze, and 3 power. This is a pretty solid move overall. I would say you're mostly going to use it for the debuffs as she does have a stronger attack option, but I'd say this is one of her more solid offensive options. True Harpy Storm, chance to inflict blind. So you're going to definitely just be using this for the blind effect as it's not very strong. It doesn't have a lot of coverage. True Water Refresh, heals all targets HP and grants ice attack. So this grants ice attack buff is pretty interesting because we haven't seen a buff like this in the game before. I'm not even 100% sure how this works yet, but I believe it gives your characters a chance, like the ability to inflict freeze on enemies, but I'm still trying to figure out the true extent of what this means because we don't have any buffs like this in the game yet. The heal all targets HP is pretty solid. This makes her pretty much the best HP healer in the game, I would say, but Wendy's also still really good. True Animal Attack, decreased attack, chance to inflict curse. So this is another move you're going to be using mostly for the debuffs. Great to lower the attack on strong boss targets. So this is actually a pretty cool debuff, I would say. True Water Slash, chance to inflict freeze, pretty ordinary, decent coverage. Freeze effect is nice. Power rating is 3. You know, you can use this where applicable, but she definitely has other better options, I feel. True Animal Scratch. So this is just her basic, like her most basic offensive move. You're not really going to use this unless you're trying to save MP. True Recovery Wind, revives all allies, grants regeneration. So I'd say this is definitely one of the best options in her kit. But the thing is, there's no content in this game where you're really desperately finding for an option like this, so it's more conceptually. Concept-wise, this is really strong. It's just the game doesn't offer the content that requires you to use such a powerful option. True Harpy Rush. So this is definitely like her strongest offensive ability. Chance to inflict blind, which is a great effect. It has great range coverage, 4-star power, or 4 rank power, whatever you want to call it. This is definitely like her go-to offensive attack. Next, let's look at her character skills. So her 2 unique character skills. Strauss Family Bonds defense, raises defense by 10% when Elfman is present. So defense in this game is kind of whatever, it's not a big deal, but I guess it's nice if you have them both together. The more interesting one, the Strauss Family Bonds attack, raises attack by 10% when Mary Jane is present. So attack is everything in this game, and you know, a flat 10% buff is always nice. You just have to have Mary Jane in your party. So I'd say this is definitely the better skill to try to utilize out of the 2 that require a character. I mean, of course you could just have both of the characters in your party, but I do like attack more than defense in this game. And then that's basically it. Oh, hold on, let me look at her unique look. So Animal Core, raises speed and luck by 70, increases damage dealt by follow-up attacks by 30%. So I mean, follow-up attacks are kind of whatever in this game, I would say. You can use them, but I don't feel like there's like a lot of really powerful situations to use them. And 30% is not crazy by any means, but I guess it's something. I guess in certain situations you could probably really make this work. So, you know, the 30% buff on that, on top of the fact that she gets a 10% buff from having Mary Jane in the party, she just gets some flat damage buffs that you can try to utilize. But she's also not even an offensive character to begin with, so I feel like this is something that would have been better suited for an offensive character that has higher attack, because she's more of a support character. So next up we have Elfman. So Elfman's definitely an interesting kind of character, but once again, like a lot of characters in this game, I don't feel like there's content in this game that really brings out his full potential. So let's go over his moveset and I'll further explain why I think that. First off, we have Takeover, Lizardman Scratch. This only costs 4 MP. It inflicts poison. Poison's actually one of the best status effects in the game. by the way. It's just that a lot of enemies are immune to it. But when it works, it's actually a really good status effect. So I'd say this is actually a decent move in that regard for the few enemies that are vulnerable to it. And this move costs 4 MP. It does what it does. Take over Vulcan Tackle. This move's kind of whatever. You're pretty much just going to use it because of the range, I guess, which is only 2 spaces, but maybe you need that setup. Take over Vulcan Mega Punch. Once again, this move is extremely whatever. Low power, only 1 space. Take over Beast Mega Slash. Once again, nothing out of the ordinary. You're only going to use it because of its grid layout, but outside of that, nothing to it. Next we have Take Over Lizardman Mega Mowdown. So this inflicts poison again. Once again, poison is a really good status effect, but a lot of enemies are immune to it. So, you know, the enemies you can use it on, cool, but this is once again another relatively underwhelming move. Take Over Vulcan Slam. So this is one of his better options. It's only 3 power, but the range, like the 4 square grid, is pretty solid, and it gets the job done. Take Over Beast Rage Blow. So this is one of his moves that are going to be more effective to his game plan. This is going to raise the hostility up on you, and it has a decent range as well. His whole character is built around the hostility mechanics, so we're going to see more of that. Next we have True Manly Punch. Damage increases relative to own hostility. So basically, the more enemies that are targeting you, the more damage you're going to deal with this attack. The main problem is that there's not a lot of situations where you can get a lot of enemies targeting you besides, say, maybe Link Battles. Link Battles is like your most guaranteed challenging way to get a lot of enemies targeting you, but even those are not overly challenging per se. But this can actually make him a decent character for grinding, because he can defeat the Berserkers relatively quick with the right setups. Then we have True Bestial Rage. So this is going to raise your hostility. This is going to hit all the enemies and help you get the hostility up, which will allow you to maximize True Manly Punch. So these 2 moves are power 5, and you can alternate between them to have like pretty solid damage output, honestly. Like Elfman can hit pretty hard between these 2 moves. I'd say unfortunately in, say, Link Battles, he usually kills the enemies with this move, which you would normally want them alive so that they're targeting him for hostility. But you know, the combination of these 2 moves can be really effective. Just similar to, I say this a lot, but they don't provide the content that allows these characters to use their unique designs as effectively as they could be. So in a lot of ways it's conceptually strong, but I have used him a bit and I have had pretty good results with him. So I actually think he's a decent character for just like general mob grinding and stuff like that. And he can put out some really good single target damage with when everything works out how you want it to work out. Take Over Beast Encouragement. Restores target MP. So this move is, I don't know, it's whatever. MP's not a big deal, but I guess he has the ability to restore it if for whatever reason you need it. Take Over Lizardman Ready for Battle. This grants counter stance. It's whatever. It's whatever. Really, it comes down to these 2 moves. The True Bestial Rage and the True Manly Punch. This is like his moveset right here. These are the 2 moves that you're going to bounce between that are going to allow him to, not only are they the moves that are unique, like really uniquely strong to him, but they can produce really good damage output used right. Next up, character skills. First one, raise attack by 1% times number of hostility statuses. So the more enemies targeting you, the more percent. You know, 1% is not a big deal, but this gets further upgraded to 3% here. So 3%, if you consider the most enemies you can have is 9 on a field, I believe. I don't know if Link Battles counts the bunches of enemies as more than 9, but pretty much 9 enemies times 3, that's 27%, which is pretty strong. I'm not gonna lie, that's actually a higher buff rate than some of the other passives. The only problem is that how often are you going to get 9 enemies targeting you? You don't have a lot of situations for that. So I would say in a lot of cases, you're probably just going to have like the bare minimum of like a 3%, 6% attack buff. So it's all right. You know, it's conceptually strong. If you can get a lot of enemies targeting you, the buff is really strong, but I would say in a lot of situations you're only going to have like 1 or 2 enemies targeting you, so you're not going to get an amazing buff. And next up is Lacrima. So Manly Core raises defense and luck by 70%, raises defense by 5% times number of hostility statuses. So this is honestly like insanely strong conceptually once again. This effectively allows Elfman to be a tank, and a really good tank at that, because if you can get all the enemies targeting you, you know, that's going to be like 9 times 5. That's a huge percentage buff. That's huge. So if they by any chance release really strong battles in the post game, the DLC dungeon, he's gonna be a good character. I think he could actually be really good if there's a lot of situations where you get big mob fights, because this combined with his attack passive honestly just sounds like one of the strongest deals, especially when you consider the 2 moves he has, his True Bestial Rage and a True Manly Punch. So I actually like Elfman a lot. I think he has a lot of potential depending on how the DLC dungeon plays out. Right now in the current game's content, like, he's still pretty strong, but he just doesn't have the content to maximize his unique abilities. But if they do release some good content for his abilities in the DLC dungeon, he's going to be a strong character. He's going to be a great tank, as he's going to take all the aggro, and he's going to get buffs while taking all the aggro. And he's going to deal incredible damage all in the process. So I really like Elfman conceptually. Next, the DLC request, the board request. So they gave us 5 new requests. I streamed all these and played them all on hard mode yesterday, and I'm very sad because I was more interested in these than I was the characters, because this was their chance to give us hard content, and none of these quests are actually hard. They're not harder than what's already in the game, but they're called very difficult requests. I don't know why. I don't understand, like, what they thought were special about these requests, because there's nothing special about them. Even some of them require you to have fixed parties, which is kind of insane to think about. Like, DLC quests that require fixed parties? That's so weird. That doesn't make any sense. But I would say the most interesting one is, of course, the 100-year trial and the 10-year trial. So the thing that makes these most interesting is that they require you to potentially use all 20 characters in your party. But the battles are not strong. They're not, like, hard. So it sounds cool that you get to use, like, every single character, but they're not hard fights. So unfortunately, they just kind of fall flat. And I played these all on hard mode, so it was pretty disappointing overall. I would say this DLC ended up disappointing me a lot, considering this is what I was actually looking forward to. Because, you know, more characters is cool, but we have 16 characters in the game already. I don't need more characters. I want more challenging content, and this failed to live up to its name. So I don't recommend this DLC at all. It's actually definitely the worst thing. Like, it's $10, I believe, and none of these are hard. They're not hard, they're not interesting, they don't have like new enemies or anything. They're very boring. I don't see myself even trying to repeat them. But that's it. That's it for all the content. I'll definitely do some gameplay. I would normally do some gameplay of Elfman and Lisanna in this video, but I actually have another video planned that they'll be in, so look forward to that if you want to see like them in action. But I just wanted to talk about them and their abilities real quick. Actually, let me show off their DLC costumes real quick. Or not even DLC, because they get them all by default. Let me go show off these costumes. So we got Lisanna. I really like her outfits. So we got the regular outfit. We got the swimsuit. We got the special swimsuit, which I think is one of the nicer swimsuits in the game. Final anime season. You know, this is my go-to. I like this a lot. Then she has the dress up. You know, this is kind of a nice costume too. But I definitely just love her final anime season costume. Elfman. So Elfman has a lot of great costumes as well. So we got the regular outfit, the special swimsuit. You know, this is a fun swimsuit. Definitely liked it. This is like one of my favorite swimsuits. Final anime season, very cool outfit, and then the dress up. You know, this is it's for the culture, right? I don't know. I love it. This is the costume I pretty much use. So I dig the costumes for both of them. They're pretty nice. And that's pretty much it. I would say overall, the characters are kind of cool, but there's not content that lets them maximize their abilities. And the quests are absolutely disappointing, and I don't recommend buying those if you were waiting to buy those as like a standalone. You know, if you get the season pass, it's whatever, you're gonna get them, but do not buy these as like standalone. They're not good, they're terrible, they're not challenging, they're not interesting. So all we have left at this point is the DLC dungeon. When that drops, I'll definitely do the review on that, which is really what's gotta wrap everything up here. Really depending on this DLC dungeon to come through and just bring us that challenging strategic content that this game so desperately needs. Anyways, thanks for watching. Peace, everyone.